Nicholas Gonzales, resident Lompoc, Honorable Mayor, City Council persons. Just a little bit of insight. One of the things that I know that was problematic when you have multiple layered financing is whose covenants trumped whose covenants. So indirectly addressing the resident who just stepped up with concern, you have to ask yourself, and it's very complicated, what agency was the agency who had the final authority to charge what rent? Maybe legal counsel who's experienced in RDA and CDBG can explain that. What I think has happened is that there often wasn't an agreement amongst all the agencies as to what agency would ultimately be the agency that governed what covenant would take precedent, because you can't meet them all. RDA just explained that you have an instance where you, because of an utility allowance or a calculation of occupancy, you can come up with a different required rent. So that's one area you can look into and would help explain the question that she had.
Mayor, one thing that might be important to note is that in home funding, they do address that issue. And with home funding, they require the most stringent covenant or regulatory agreement is the one that is upheld. So that is, in some of the funding sources, that is addressed.
Excuse me just a second. Let me ask a couple more questions. So if there was not home funding involved in a project, then it's kind of up in the air again?
Yes, that would be the case, and it would be in not all cases. RDA might have gone in first with no federal funding at that time. So subsequent funding wouldn't necessarily be a known factor. But it sounds like the attorney has some
just to clarify, in terms of, how can I say this, in terms of trying to create a hierarchy among the different agencies, sometimes home says this, sometimes RDA says that, that is sort of irrelevant to the fact that the person that gets the loan or gets the money is obligated to meet all of the conditions, and all of the conditions that are set up, they may be different, but the one that's the most restrictive is obviously going to meet the other ones, so the most restrictive one is the one that has to be met.